180 kilometers long, $1.7 billion in construction cost. Cambodia is building its largest ever waterway, the Funan Techo Canal. It will connect Phnom Penh to the open sea as the kingdom seeks freedom to control its own destiny.
When we export, we have to go through the Vietnam ports. We want to rely on ourselves.
Yet, this ambitious project has alarmed Cambodia's eastern and downstream neighbour, Vietnam.
Các cái tác động của trên lưu vực đều có ảnh hưởng, dù ít dù nhiều ở phía hạ lưu của tác động đó. Và càng về hạ lưu thì tác động càng cộng hưởng của nhiều tác động.
Obviously, the elephant in the room here is China, because China backs this project.
As Cambodian leadership begins construction of what it calls a nose for the country to breathe through, what is the controversy around Cambodia's Funan Techo Canal?
It's one of those things that the more that Vietnam opposed to, the more likely Cambodian population support the canal project.
In this factory, in the Kampong Thom province of Cambodia, a very special grain is being milled. The award-winning Sen Kra Op fragrant rice, known for its floral and nutty aroma.
This is the loading paddy today from the farm. So this is not yet dry. So after we unloading to the dryer station, and we need about 14 hours to dry this paddy, and we can go to the milling station at another warehouse.
Amru Rice is the biggest producer and exporter of organic rice in Cambodia. The company has 4 manufacturing facilities across the country, sourcing the grain from some 10,000 farmers across 16 provinces in Cambodia.
We do about 50,000 tons of meal rice or 100,000 tons paddies per year. The main export market for Amru rice is European Union, followed by China, United States, Australia, and other Asian market.
Saran has plans to grow his business, but recently their operations have hit a bit of a snag. Like many Cambodian exporters, Amru Rice relied on neighboring Vietnam for its global exports.
Previously, we load from port using by small boat and transit in Vietnam Khai Ma port. So that transit for a couple of days and change to another vessel and go to the China or to the European or United States port. But in the last 5 years after COVID, we have the issues of transporting in Phnom Penh port to Vietnam. Like 2025, we have some buyer that want to ship via Phnom Penh port, but we got a lot of restriction. Yeah, one case we ship right for containers, but it was not allowed, so we returned back from Phnom Penh port to Centerville port. It cost us a lot of money.
Cambodia has only one port with deep enough waters for large container vessels that ply international trade routes. It's located here in Sihanoukville, where goods must be trucked in from the rest of the country.
Mostly the production site is somewhere around the Phnom Penh city. And then to transport our product to the seaport takes about 230 kilometers from Phnom Penh.
Now we using truck and train, in rice heavy cargo. So normally truck company, they prefer to get light cargo first to be on board. So we have to challenging in secure the trucks for accept our cargoes.
So instead, around a third of goods to and from Cambodia rely on Vietnamese ports. They travel through the Mekong on smaller container ships, much of which transit here at the Phnom Penh Autonomous Port. All its terminals are connected to ports in Vietnam for transshipment of cargoes.
Factories in Phnom Penh or in the provinces around Phnom Penh, they usually get trucked to our terminal or they can get on the barge at one of our sub-feeder terminals, and then they transit on a barge to Vietnam ports such as Cat Lai to transit for intra-Asia, and to Khai Mep to transit to long-haul destinations such as US and Europe.
But the current route means that Cambodian exports are subject to Vietnam custom processes. Dr. Che Tek is a socio-economic researcher in Cambodia.
It requires more time, at least 1 day, for the custom clearance. The custom clearance cost is much more expensive, 4 or 5 times more expensive than other countries.
One of the most frustrating things about export through Vietnam or import through Vietnam is that Vietnam could have more influence on what products and what commodities and what other items they would allow for export.
But now, Cambodia has an ambitious plan to reduce its reliance on Vietnam. In May 2023, then Prime Minister Hun Sen's cabinet approved the construction of a mega infrastructure project known as the Funan Techo Canal.
Funan Techo Canal project is historic project for Cambodia. It will be a game changer for inland waterway transport in Cambodia.
So, what's this historical project? The plan is to build a 180-kilometer long, 100-meter wide canal from this part of the Mekong River, connecting with the Basak River, through Kep province on Cambodia's southern coast, into the Gulf of Thailand. This waterway will connect the capital Phnom Penh to the sea.
It will play a very important role to grow our economy. You know, when we finish this project, it can attract more investors come to invest in our country.
In August last year, Prime Minister Hun Manet launched a groundbreaking ceremony for the Funan Techo Canal. It's estimated to cost $1.7 billion, nearly 4% of the country's annual gross domestic product. And China has agreed to foot some of the bill. This April, during Chinese President Xi Jinping's state visit to the kingdom, an agreement was signed to fund the project. It will be a public-private partnership, where Cambodian investors will own a majority 51% equity stake, while Chinese investors will hold 49%.
Cambodia and China is the comprehensive strategy partnership, and we are good friends. So both sides always work together very closely. We have to work with all the partners that can push this project to complete.
The canal currently is projected to be completed in 2028, a day which this 53-year-old rice farmer looks forward to. He's one of the suppliers of paddy to Amru rice.
ចំណូលគាត់ថាយើងលក់ឲ្យអ៊ំរូយើងបានលុយដុំដូចថាយើងដឹកមួយឡានអញ្ចឹងទៅគាត់ទូទាត់ទាំងអស់បើយើងលក់ទៅឲ្យកសិករគាត់ទិញ100 200គីឡូ500 1តោនអីចឹងអ៊ំរូកាលណាយើងប្រមូលផលបានចំនួនប៉ុន្មានយើងយកទៅបើចំពោះគ្រួសារខ្ញុំសិនជាព្រែកជីកភូណនកើតឡើងអញ្ចឹងខ្ញុំនៅទីនេះខ្ញុំធ្លាប់ធ្វើតែ2ដងអញ្ចឹងខ្ញុំអាចបង្កើនបាន3ដងអញ្ចឹងចំណូលខ្ញុំអាចនឹងកើនបាន 30% ទៀតសម្រាប់ការនាំចូលថាធាតុចូលដូចជាពួកជីពួកស្អីហ្នឹងវាអាចដឹកជញ្ជូនមកផ្លូវបើយើងធ្វើបានព្រែកជីកពូណនបានន័យថាវាមានផ្លូវកាត់ចឹងដឹកជញ្ជូនបានច្រើនអញ្ចឹងអាចវត្ថុធាតុដើមទាំងនោះក៏វាថាកាត់បន្ថយចំណាយនោះក៏វាលក់ឲ្យជាកសិករក៏វារៀងធូរថ្លៃដែរ
This canal is not just about infrastructure. It is investment for the Cambodia future competitiveness.
Meanwhile, recent events have shown Cambodia the importance of self-reliance. In July this year, Thai and Cambodian forces exchanged fire near the disputed border. Land crossings between the neighbours were later shut and imports of certain products were banned.
Geopolitical tension, border tension, we will have trouble to import the raw material to Cambodia as well as to export our goods to the overseas, to China and to the Western country.
Cambodia has histories of tumultuous relationship with our bigger neighbors, both of them, with Thailand as well as Vietnam. Now, with the conflicts with Thailand, we felt that we're now again being sandwiched by two bigger neighbors, and that's also raising a level of either paranoia or level of uncertainties among the Cambodian public as well. In any tense situation, Vietnam potentially could choke trade, or at least putting more restrictions and creating barriers for Cambodia's trade.
Ultimately, the canal is viewed as key to the nation's ambitions. Cambodia wants to be an upper middle income country by 2030 and a high income country by 2050.
If we want to have independence on transportation along the waters, we have to do this project, Funan Techo project, very important. If we still rely on the Vietnam port, we cannot achieve our goal in the future. That our government have a lot of plan to achieve it.
But while Cambodia is full steam ahead with its canal building plans, Vietnam is worried. Why? In Vietnam, millions of farmers make their living in the fields. The country is set to surpass Thailand to become the world's second largest rice exporter this year.
Ở đây bà con đang làm 3 vụ anh. Đây là vụ thứ hai.
Sen Ngoc Gan has been working on his family's 1.5 hectare farm since he was 10 years old.
Dạ lâu anh, cả 30-40 năm rồi. Nước này nước nhằm khi có nước mưa, nhằm khi có nước sông, mà hiện giờ là nước sông đang lớn.
Like Ngoc Gan, farmers in this part of the Mekong Delta rely on the Mekong and its many branches that flow through the area.
Nó mang lại chất dinh dưỡng, với mình có nước mình mới bón phân được. Bón phân rồi mới nó gả cái phân chất dinh dưỡng mới cây lúa nó hấp thụ được. Ảnh hưởng đến cái năng suất của lúa mình. Lúa có thể là không có hấp thụ được nước nhiều. Năng suất mình thấp lại.
The Mekong Delta in Vietnam is home to about 18 million people. The majority of them are farmers, fishermen. And the Mekong Delta is also Vietnam's rice basket, accounting for about 80% of Vietnam's rice export.
Mà đồng thời nó cũng giữ vai trò quan trọng trong cái vấn đề an ninh lương thực thế giới. Tại vì các sản phẩm nông nghiệp từ phía đồng bằng sông Cửu Long đã được xuất ra trên thị trường thế giới rất là nhiều.
But the Mekong Delta is under pressure. The multitude of dams being built upstream in China, Laos, and Cambodia, together with climate change, has altered the flow of water in the river systems.
Phải có nguồn sông lớn, nước mới dồi dào vô, mấy cây kênh nhỏ này có đủ nước. Nếu mà sông hậu mà không có nước, gọi là mấy con kênh nhỏ này đâu có nước vô, bà con đâu làm lúa được.
Apart from irrigation, the river system is also vital in another way. Fresh water from the Mekong Delta push back the sea. When the river waters are low, sea water flows inland, leaving salt in the fields and lowering yields. This is known as saltwater intrusion. One government body estimated that the Mekong Delta region incurs losses of around $3 billion annually from saltwater intrusion.
Em cũng không mấy nghe rõ, chỉ phong phanh trên đài thời sự thôi. Người ta đào kênh đó là cái nguồn nước nó không được thải ra bên vô miền Tây, cái con sông lớn của miền Tây mình nữa. Cũng sợ. Nó ảnh hưởng đến bà con làm lúa khu vực miền Tây này.
With Cambodia's Funan Techo Canal expected to be operational in 2028, Vietnam is concerned that it could potentially divert water from the Mekong mainstream. The problem, according to Vietnam, is that Cambodia has not provided sufficient details about the canal. The Cambodia National Mekong Committee had released a 14-page report on the project. However, Vietnamese researchers say it lacks crucial information, such as how much of the canal waters will be used for irrigation. Dr. Nguyen Nghie Hung's Research Institute advises the Vietnamese government on developments on the Mekong. Using technical data of the Funan Techo Canal, Dr. Nguyen and his colleagues made projections on its impact based on certain assumptions. One is how often the sluice gates which control the water depth of the canal are opened. And two, whether the canal water will be used for irrigation by Cambodian farmers.
Thì trên hai cái giả thiết đó thì chúng tôi có tính toán và đưa ra kết quả. Thứ nhất là đối với lại trường hợp mùa khô thì khi mà cái dòng kênh mở hoàn toàn và như vậy thì lưu lượng nó sẽ thay đổi cỡ khoảng 70 mét khối giây về mùa khô, tương ứng với khoảng 1,12 tỷ mét khối. Còn đối với kịch bản 2 thì khi mà mở rộng hoàn toàn kênh cộng với lại là sử dụng nước cho 50.000 hectare thì rõ ràng rằng là cái nguồn nước mùa khô sẽ giảm cỡ khoảng 1,5 tỷ mét khối, tương ứng với khoảng 94 mét khối giây. Thì đối với những cái điều kiện năm đặc biệt quan trọng như là mùa hạn lịch sử 2016, 2020 thì việc mà giảm cái lượng nước ở thượng nguồn này nó sẽ ảnh hưởng trực tiếp đến đồng bằng sông Cửu Long và gia tăng cái xâm nhập mặn rất nhiều cho đồng bằng.
If the canal is used for transportation purpose only, the impact may be minimal because it will not draw too much water from the mainstream of the Mekong River. But if the canal is also used for other purposes like agricultural production or industrial activities, the amount of water that will be drawn from the Mekong River will be huge.
Apart from rice, the life-giving waters of the Mekong also support Vietnam's sizable seafood industry. About 70% of the country's aquaculture depend on the river system.
Hồi đó thì thuộc An Bình, bây giờ thuộc đúng là bây giờ thuộc về An Bình. Anh nuôi cá điêu hồng, cá dù đém với cá chấm cỏ với cá gu phi. Một năm mỗi lồng là sức khoảng trung quân bình là mỗi lồng 6 tấn, là 6 lồng.
Phan grows his fishes in cages that are built into the Mekong River itself.
Nước nhiều thích, nước nhiều tới mình nuôi cá nên con cá nó cũng thoáng hơn. Nước lên xuống nó làm cái độ mát dưới nước nó làm cho con cá nó đủ oxy.
Like rice farming, rearing fish is also seasonal, timed to the monsoon and water levels of the Mekong. Phan has noticed some irregular patterns in the water last year.
Hồi khoảng năm 2004 thì thấy nước nó sát nó hơi cạn nhiều hơn mọi năm, năm 2024 á.
Vietnam's economy depends on several water-intensive industries, such as agriculture, textiles, food processing, and manufacturing. Agriculture is the biggest consumer, using around 80% of the country's water resources.
Với mỗi công tỷ lệ từ trên cả lưu vực sông Mekong ấy, thì chúng ta đều cần phải đánh giá rất là chặt chẽ những cái tác động tiêu cực và tích cực của nó. Thì nhìn chung là với cái sự thay đổi của dòng chính của một dòng sông cơ bản nào đấy, thì nó sẽ chắc chắn rằng nó sẽ gây ra những cái thay đổi về nguồn nước, và như vậy là kéo theo đó là sự thay đổi về điều kiện môi trường, điều kiện đa dạng sinh học và cũng như là sinh kế của bà con ở dọc theo hệ thống sông nào đấy, cơ bản nào đấy.
Cambodia, however, has defended the canal. Former Prime Minister Hun Sen said that the canal will have no impact on the flow of the Mekong River. Deputy Prime Minister San Chan Tol likened his country's canal to a straw, insofar as how much water will be diverted away.
Cambodia is trying to defend the project, so they will try to paint the project, as profitable and one that does not cause harm to the environment, the river, and other countries, especially Vietnam. That should be expected.
But Cambodia, we have right to do and to develop our country also. If we don't do it, so what should we do? We have to depend on the Vietnam port forever.
For some Cambodians, Vietnam's objection is instead due to the potential loss of income should Cambodian exporters no longer need their ports. It's estimated that the Funan Techo Canal will cut Cambodian shipping through Vietnam by 70%.
So far, we spend for one container, we spend for transit at the Vietnam ports, we spend about $223, which is about the 16%, of the total cost for transportation. So they lose the benefit.
The majority of Cambodian goods transshipped through Vietnamese ports. The fees and taxes that they pay constitute a small fraction of these ports' revenue. So the impact is not much to Vietnam.
At the heart of the issue is the lack of information. This year, the Mekong River Commission, or MRC, said it had so far only received basic information about the canal from Cambodia. The MRC is an intergovernmental organization which oversees the sustainable development of Southeast Asia's longest river. Its member countries are Cambodia, Laos, Thailand, and Vietnam. Last year, the MRC said it sent multiple requests for Cambodia to share a feasibility study on the impact of its planned canal. This has not been made available yet.
So from Vietnam's point of view, there's a grave lack of clarity regarding the project, especially what purposes the project will serve and what impacts the project may generate for the broader region. It appears to Vietnam that Cambodia is hiding something.
Cái tác động của kênh đào Phù Nam thì hiện tại chúng tôi chưa có cơ sở khoa học kết luận. Tuy nhiên, nếu mà được thì chúng ta có thể thành lập nên những cái nhóm cộng đồng giám sát để mà khi mà chúng ta ngay từ bây giờ chúng ta có thể giám sát được sự thay đổi của tài nguyên nước.
Vietnam worried too much, but Vietnam, how you look at how many dams they have along the Mekong River. I mean, they have many canals, but they say it is okay. And when Cambodia just tried to develop one small canals, they criticize what Cambodia tried to have. So I think that should be fair for Cambodia. We need to grow together. We do not need to compete with each other, but support and grow together.
There may be another reason that caused Vietnam to fret over the canal: the involvement of a country with which it has a complex relationship, China. On September 9th, to much fanfare, Cambodia opened its new Techo International Airport. This $2 billion project is built by a major state-owned Chinese construction firm.
Cambodia and China, they become friends since 1958. They established the diplomatic relation with each other. They call themselves as the ironclad friends. But it is hard to call yourself as a good friend when one friend is rich and another friend is still a developing country. If we want to keep that relation for longer term or forever, I think it is important for Cambodia to develop internally and to develop internal capacity.
Cambodia was among the first countries to be a formal participant of China's Belt and Road Initiative.
I think this kind of showing the world that a part of a BRI projects that China can share some their budget for invest in the infrastructure, and they invest a lot anywhere around the world, including Cambodia as well, with the street, expressway, highways.
I think it is important for the Chinese government, for China, to take care of the quality of the BOI project, because it is important to show the world that Cambodia as a good friend, enjoy the outcome, enjoy the good relation, and also enjoy the benefit from China.
Recently, Cambodia worked with China to build its first ever expressway. The $2 billion project shrinks the 5-hour journey between Phnom Penh and Sihanoukville to just 2 hours. Though the Funan Techo Canal is widely considered part of the BRI's strategy by analysts, Hun Sen claimed otherwise, saying it's a project initiated by Cambodia.
This project is kind of a cooperation, so the project is also big. We require more capital injection, so China also can be a partner in this case. And also regarding to the technique, because according to Cambodia company, we don't have much experience on it. So I think China can help to support the technical management on it. It is also for upskill for Cambodian people, and also Cambodian government or Cambodian company can improve their capacity through these technology spillovers.
This is a win-win project, even for the investment from China as well as for our economic development as well.
Because with China want to see a strong allies. China want to see a strong friend. China don't want to see a friend that is still poor, that need to ask for support all the time.
For more than a decade, China has been Cambodia's largest source of foreign investment and top trading partner.
那这款是男装双份穿的，它的销量是非常好。今年我们做了有7万多件，那每天的产能，我们一条线可以做450件左右。
Here in Takeo Province, Chinese garment manufacturer Changshu Goldway Textile produces a wide variety of clothing, such as jackets and pants, on its dozen production lines. About 90% of garment-making factories in the kingdom are owned by the Chinese.
我们每天的产量基本在6000件左右，那每个月基本在15万件左右。客户基本是欧洲、美国、日本。
The Jiangsu-based company saw an opportunity to set up shop in Cambodia back in 2013.
那因为国内的用工比较紧张，柬埔寨有大量的人力市场资源，再加上国际政策的变化和发展，所以我们就选择来柬埔寨进行投资开厂。
At this factory, about 90% of the workers are Cambodians and 10% are Chinese.
从目前的市场看呢，柬埔寨还是有一定的优势。第一个，政治比较稳定；第二个，国家的发展给我们后期的共同发展匹配，有很多的发展空间。
Recently, in 2022, the Chinese garment firm purchased land for expansion. The company expects the Funan Techo Canal project to help drive growth.
第一个，从运输的时间上来说，会缩短一定的周期。那每一个环节基本会缩短3天左右的时间。那出口的产品可能会缩短1个星期。那么从成本上来说，它不需要再从越南转口，那我们的成本也会下降。那我们会把下降的成本回报于客人，回报于国家。
The Funan Techo Canal will be constructed using a build, operate, transfer model. The Chinese company that's developing the canal will have the right to operate and profit from it.
So it is like a kind of giving privilege to the private company to construct it, operate it, and like a toll gate as well. They can get the fee of transportation. And after they earn their money, in some period of time, they just transfer all to Cambodian government.
But the close involvement of the Chinese with the Funan Techo Canal has alarmed some in Vietnam. Researchers from a state-backed institute have raised concerns that the Funan Techo Canal could be a dual-use project, meaning it could be used not just for commercial vessels, but for military as well.
The canal can be used by the Chinese military to move their naval ships up the canal into the Mekong River, and that may pose a potential threat to Vietnam's security. Of course, whether that scenario will play out or not is unclear. China may have other options to put pressure on Vietnam.
Historically, Vietnam and China share an uneasy relationship. The two countries fought a full-scale war in 1979 and had several skirmishes since. While Beijing and Hanoi recently upgraded diplomatic relations, border disputes remain a thorny issue.
Vietnam-China relations can be described by both friendship and rivalry. While Vietnam cooperates with China economically and tries to maintain good ties with China politically, there are also security issues between the two countries, and tensions are still simmering in the South China Sea due to their disputes there. So to Vietnam, China is both a friend, a partner, and a security threat.
So I think Vietnam will look at this canal through the lens of China's regional ambition.
One possible reason for Vietnamese alarm is what lies at the end of the Funan Techo Canal. Not far from where it will open into the Gulf of Thailand sits the Ream Naval Base. The military facility was given a major Chinese-funded upgrade in 2020 to accommodate larger vessels. Based on satellite images analyzed by the Center for Strategic and International Studies, Chinese naval assets were seen berthed at the base. Last year, Washington expressed serious concerns about the renovation to Cambodian officials, saying that the facility could become a Chinese military outpost.
Vietnam wants to maintain good ties with China and try to isolate the South China Sea disputes from its overall ties, so that the tensions in the South China Sea will not impact bilateral economic cooperation and also political ties. But because the South China Sea dispute is a potential flashpoint, it may erupt anytime into open armed conflict, for example. And in that event, where China will make use of its relations with Vietnam's neighbors, especially Laos and Cambodia, to undermine Vietnam's security.
However, Cambodian leadership had rubbished allegations that the canal will facilitate Chinese military access.
I think it's funny, when they said this, we allow China to deploy military in Cambodia. But Cambodia is sovereignty, it is an independent state. And according to our constitution, we don't allow the foreign military base in Cambodia. So no way that the Chinese can use this Funan Techo Canal that violate our constitution.
There's people who talk about potential military use of the canal. I personally don't see it. Particularly during times of war, during times of conflicts, nobody want to transport their military assets along a narrow canal.
The United States and Vietnam have called for transparency over the China-backed waterway. However, for Kee Serevat, a Cambodian economist, the dual-use accusation masks Vietnam's real reason for objection.
Vietnam will reduce some benefit from this if the canal will be built, because our containers transport to Europe just go through across to the Vietnam seaport, so they can earn from service. So that's why Vietnam doesn't happy.
With construction about to begin soon, how will it impact Cambodians? And how will Vietnam react? In August last year, an extraordinary event took place a few hundred meters from Lim Tong Eng's home. Some of Cambodia's bigwigs, including Prime Minister Hun Manet, descended on the small village of Prak Takyo for the groundbreaking of the Funan Techo Canal.
ការគេបើកការដ្ឋានថ្ងៃ5 សីហាឆ្នាំ24ហ្នឹងគេអត់បានហៅពួកខ្ញុំទៅទេ
The 75-year-old has lived here since he was a child. A literal stone's throw from the Funan Techo Canal. One of his sons and his family lives with him. Villages here have been kept out of the loop of the canal's progress.
ធ្វើអញ្ចឹងហើយអត់មាននេះអញ្ចឹងវាប៉ះពាល់ដល់ខ្ញុំដូចថាតំណាំយូរវែងអត់ហ៊ានដាក់ជីអត់ហ៊ានថែទាំអីខ្លាំងព្រោះខ្លាចយើងថែទៅវាអស់លុយច្រើនហើយរត់ត្រូវការមកធ្វើភ្លាមៗអញ្ចឹង
What you see here is just the initial stage of the canal. When construction begins proper during the next dry season, it will be widened to a width of 100 meters. Tong Eng's son shows us with a marker which demarcates where the canal will be dug.
បងនេះគេហៅបកគោភេជីក Funan Techo ហើយរៀងរាល់300 ម៉ែត្រចំណុចនេះជាចំណុចដែលរាជរដ្ឋាភិបាលត្រូវជីកភេក
Tong Eng's neighbour, living just a few doors down, shows us another marker.
បាទនេះផ្ទះរបស់ខ្ញុំបានរាជរដ្ឋាភិបាលបានវាស់វែងរួចហើយវាស់វែងនេះត្រឹមនេះថ្ងៃ5ខែថ្ងៃ5គេវាស់វែងហើយនេះបាននេះត្រឹមនេះគឺថាបកគោហ្នឹងទៅខាងនោះមានមិនបើគេវាស់ទៅអញ្ចឹងហើយបើមិនទៅរាជរដ្ឋាភិបាលត្រូវការនឹងធ្វើម៉េចត្រូវការនឹងតាមដំណើរទៅគេអញ្ចឹងដែរ
The megaproject is set to displace nearly 10,000 homes and more than 7,000 hectares of farmland. Factories, bridges, roads and dams in the path of the canal will also be affected.
You're talking about livelihood that needs to move, that needs to change. You're talking about all the tombs that also needs to be either move or be disrupted. So a lot of that is going to be difficult to quantify financially.
Our Cambodian government, we have responsible. People, household was affected, and their land, their farm, even though tree, we pay for them. We provide the compensation for people. So this kind of solving the problem for the people.
The Cambodian government promised to minimize resettlement and carry out a responsible compensation and consultation process. But locals do not know yet how much compensation will be given or when they will have to leave.
សំណងរដ្ឋាភិបាលនឹងអត់ទាន់មានមកនិយាយមួយមិនតែខ្ញុំមកនិយាយទៅប្រជាជននៅនឹងដែលផាសប៉លអស់ហ្នឹងអត់មានទាំងអស់អត់មានមកនិយាយមួយអ្នកណាម្នាក់ទេមិនចំពោះតែខ្ញុំម្នាក់ទេទាំងអស់គ្នាហ្មងមានអារម្មណ៍ភ័យព្រួយព្រោះផលប៉ះពាល់ខ្លាចឲ្យតែរដ្ឋថាភិបាលនឹងឲ្យសំណងនឹងតិចពេកខ្ញុំយកទៅធ្វើផ្ទះយកទៅរកទិញដីអីទៀតអត់គ្រាន់
តាំងពីផ្ទះចែកដីរបស់ម្ដាយលបងផលដំណាំដីចកាផ្ទះធ្វើអស់ 50000 មិនដឹងថារាជរដ្ឋាភិបាលសងបាន 50000 វិញអត់ដីអស់ 100,000 អញ្ចឹងមិនដឹងថារាជរដ្ឋាភិបាលសងបាន 100,000 វិញអត់ហើយ
Still, despite the very real impact on him, Tong Eng is quick to point out that he supports the canal building.
គម្រោងប្រៃជីឲ្យរដ្ឋធ្វើហ្នឹងខ្ញុំសប្បាយចិត្តអត់មានថាអីទេបើចំដូចជីហើយចំផ្ទះចំដីខ្ញុំហ្នឹងក៏ខ្ញុំអត់ថាអីដែរខ្ញុំត្រេកអរតែគ្រាន់តែសំណូមពរទៅរដ្ឋធ្វើម៉េចឲ្យសំណងនោះឲ្យបានច្រើនមកឲ្យបានមិនថាច្រើនដល់គោះតម្លៃទេច្រើនឲ្យស្មើតម្លៃដីដែលបាត់បង់ហ្នឹងអាហ្នឹងអហ្មងប្រជាជននៅដែលមានជាប់គម្រោងទាំងអស់ហ្នឹងអហ្មង
These sentiments perhaps tell the story of the Funan Techo Canal. Despite the challenges and costs, many view this canal as vital for Cambodia's future.
Because it's not benefit for one group, it benefit for all the Cambodian people. It benefit for our country, our nation, and especially our economy.
It's not only for the economic, also attraction for the ecotourism along the Funan Techo Canal, as well as for agriculture, especially for the irrigation, flood protection, and also will become we call an emerging development zone.
The Phnom Penh Autonomous Port is preparing for the opportunities the canal will bring. By expanding its capacity measured in TEUs, or 20-foot container equivalent units.
For PPAP, we are particularly fortunate because we are located only 5 kilometers from the entrance of the canal along the Mekong River. So in a sense, we are like a pivot point. Our current capacity this year is 700,000 TEUs. Once we complete our phase 4 expansion in 2027, our capacity will jump to 1 million TEUs. This is just before the completion of the canal, which is expected to be in 2028.
But the canal is more than just an economic project. Prime Minister Hun Manet described it as promoting national prestige.
I noticed that Cambodian people, they feel very supportive and nationalism of the Techo Funan Canal. That is the symbol of the priority of the country.
It's a national pride project. That's why economic analysis of the canal is one of insignificant in some way. In general, the whole population support the canal project.
Completing the canal will also be seen as a major accomplishment for Hun Manet's nascent premiership. In 2023, he succeeded his father, Hun Sen, who ruled the country for almost 4 decades.
So I believe that it is very important for him to complete the canal because that will bring the best message to convince Cambodian people to support and to vote for him in the next election.
This is going to be a statement canal that Cambodia is doing this and we're capable of doing this. But it's also a legacy statement for Cambodian leadership.
But what of Vietnam's objections? So far, Hanoi has not been vociferous in its opposition, careful not to alienate Cambodia.
The canal is now a new sticking point in bilateral ties. If Vietnam strongly opposes the project, that may trigger anti-Vietnamese sentiments in Cambodia, so of course Vietnam does not want Cambodia to proceed with this project. However, Vietnam respects Cambodia's right to pursue development, and Vietnam is not in a position to obstruct this project. But so far, Vietnam does not want to stoke up tensions between the two countries, so it has adopted a largely quiet diplomatic approach.
Cambodia's relations with Vietnam are long and complex. Their ancient empires fought numerous wars. And more recently, Vietnam invaded Cambodia in 1978, withdrawing in 1989. Even now, anti-Vietnamese sentiments remain strong in Cambodia.
Cambodia also have a long period of humiliation, and therefore we are always going to be sensitive when statements or decisions that would be seen as looking down on Cambodia. It's one of those things that the more that Vietnam opposed to, the more likely Cambodian population support the canal project.
Still, recent events could also change how Cambodia accommodates Vietnamese concerns.
Now that the conflicts with Thailand has erupted, and Cambodia will have to shift our relationship, our perception of Vietnam, because we don't want to agitate Vietnam to a point where we cannot have a cordial relationship. And I think naturally Cambodia will probably want to reset our relationship with Vietnam a bit, in the hope that I think we can build a bit more trust.
Meanwhile, Cambodia has said it will evaluate meeting the Mekong River Commission's requests for more documentation.
The Cambodian government also hired 48 experts, international experts and consultants to conduct all this project preparation in terms of the technical mitigation, environment assessment, social assessment, cost and benefit analysis. All this early done.
Back in the Prak Takeo village, Tong Ing may have to move in the next few months before the canal construction is slated to begin. Leaving his home of decades will be bittersweet.
ចំពោះខ្ញុំ បើអារម្មណ៍វិញវាថាសប្បាយហើយដែលរត់ធ្វើអញ្ចឹងព្រោះគាត់ថាចំពោះខ្ញុំវាអស់វាត្រូវកម្រោនឹងអស់អាលេងណាដល់អញ្ចឹងនឹងមានអារម្មណ៍ថាម៉េចមានអារម្មណ៍ថាពិបាកចិត្តហ្នឹងអាហ្នឹងចំពោះខ្ញុំវាព្រោះវាអស់អាលេងហើយហ្នឹងបើគេដល់ទៀតទៅគេអស់ហើយគេនៅសល់ត្រូវទៅធ្វើហ្នឹងទៅថាទៅសាងជីវភាពថ្មី
And just as it is for him, the Funan Techo Canal will usher in a new chapter for Cambodia.
We want to show the world that Cambodia, yes, even though we are poor, but our young generation, our leader, stand up, develop our country, and bring our country to equal to another country. We have to study hard, we have to work hard, and we have to join together to develop our country. And we proud of our nation, even though we walk slowly, but we don't stop, step by step, for our nation.